Gauteng Police Commissioner wanting liquor outlet trading hours to be looked at, like in Ntimane. From the National Liquor Traders Council joins us now, of course, to discuss this further. A very good morning to you, Lucky, and thank you so much for your time. I can imagine that you are probably getting a little tired, and a little worn out, having to, speak on behalf of liquor trading in South Africa, especially when such things happened just a short while ago, not so long ago. In fact, you were talking, of course, after the Ntimane tragedy that took place. Now this is happening. I can only imagine that this is not putting a really good light on liquor trading in South Africa now, with especially the Commissioner, and I would imagine other stakeholders asking for trading hours to be looked at because such things can be avoided.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. It is really a sad turn of events that took place at the Nomzamo Tavern in Orlando, Soweto. I got a call this morning, which is around 30 minutes past 4, from the Provincial Commissioner, General Mawela, informing me that indeed another tragedy has hit us. I didn't want to believe this, and it was just too much to comprehend. But it is what it is. But I think we need to be able to look beyond just the fact that this happened at the tavern. The fact that, this act of criminality can happen in our country leaves so much to be desired. We need to be asking questions of the deep root causes of this type of tragedies. It was Ntimane, which we do not know at this stage what caused it. And now thuggery and criminality and a massacre at the tavern. We are concerned that our liquor trading environment has been invaded by criminality, by acts of crime that we can't even explain. And this means that our patrons are not safe. This means that our liquor traders are not safe. This means that our ability to earn a living to support our families is in jeopardy. This is very bad for us.
Yeah, but I want us to stay on the issue of safety, because another thing that came in with the conversation with the Gauteng Provincial Commissioner is the issue around safety and security, right? The security measures that are being put in place in these establishments to make sure that patrons can have a good time but still get home safely. We saw that did not happen when it came to Ntimane Tavern, though the causes of the incident, we're still waiting for that, right? But the kids who should not have been there in the first place did not get home safely. This one, it's a shooting incident that takes place. 14 lives are gone. That means safety once again has been compromised. So these establishments, as we're looking at them, do they provide enough security measures to ensure that those that are going in are not only just patrons, but are patrons that are not there to cause any form of harm?
There is a standing understanding by all liquor traders that people with weapons are not allowed inside the tavern. But as we understand it, the incident in Soweto, even though the details are still sketchy at the stage, is that this was well planned, well executed. So even if you have security guards, there was no way that you could have prevented this from happening. Our concern is that this is able to happen with impunity in communities. As we know, that taverns operate in the middle of communities. This happened because it was planned to the T, and there was no chance that the liquor trader could have prevented this from happening. This could have happened anywhere else, but it happened at the tavern, which is something that concerns us. We obviously need to look at what security measures we can put in place to ensure that we avoid further incidents of this nature from happening. This was a pure massacre, and we should not run away from that.
Lucky, there are establishments that are situated in shopping centres and malls and such. They close at about 10 o'clock because the mall itself closes at about 10 o'clock. The Commissioner, of course, suggesting that lawmakers look at perhaps moving establishments that are, put out, like taverns, for example, that are isolated, that they too maybe look at closing at 10 o'clock. And if we're pushing it at midnight, do you think this could some way be, one of the solutions?
We had an incident in Hyde Park that happened in the morning, where someone walked into a restaurant and shot a patron there. So this is not an hourly dependent incident. It can happen at any time, but the issue of trading hours obviously is a legislative process, and we're on record as saying that we need to look at all means that can prevent similar incidents. And this came out in the Ntimane tragedy, for example, the issue of trading hours. And we're saying that we are ready to have that conversation, but we should not jump the gun and think that because taverns will then close early, then this type of incidents will not happen. They will happen because they are planned to happen. But you need to be able to work with civil society, work with our communities and law enforcement officials. And I must emphasize that we've got a good working relationship with all the police across the country, more especially in Gauteng with General Mawela and his deputy, General Ntimane. So we are able to, sit down and look at ways and means in which we can prevent similar incidents from happening. But I think to only focus on the issue of trading hours will be short-sighted for us.
Yeah, like, at this moment in time, let's not kid ourselves, right? Tavern owners and taverns as establishments and places of company and fellowship, so as it were, are in the spotlight. And if there's another shooting or there's going to be some severe implications of it, right? We're on 2 taverns now where a mass number of people have lost their lives. Different ways, but lives have been lost in 2 taverns. That means that the tavern as an establishment is not receiving great PR at the moment, which then impacts directly on the tavern owner's ability to make any form of revenue, because people are going to be afraid of going to taverns in case they don't go back home. In that regard, what accountability can be then placed on tavern owners? Because what we do understand is that tavern owners are members of the community. They're not removed from the community, which means that they are directly impacted by the going-ons within that community. Accountability needs to reach somewhere somewhat, right? Otherwise, the livelihood of the tavern owner is going to be significantly impacted. We're on 2 taverns, which means that a set of tavern owners right now are in establishments that we need to look at their licenses. One already has been taken away for Enyobeni. We don't know what's going to happen to this one. If there's found to be any form of illegalities that are happening with that, the PR is not looking too good.
Yes, look, the optics are not looking too good for us, but I think this gives us an opportunity to introspect, to look at what is it that we need to do. But also, I think we need to go just beyond what just happened in these 2 taverns, but also understand what societal factors are that lend themselves to this type of tragedies happening in our taverns. Taverns are not removed from the ecosystem of township life. So these type of things are a reflection of what is happening in our communities, in our townships, and this needs to be addressed. We cannot have a situation where people are shot at, like what happened in Orlando. This needs to be dealt with, and we are going to be talking to law enforcement officials as well as the local board to find ways and means in which we can work together to ensure that we prevent these tragedies from happening. It's not a nice thing to have to wake up to this type of incident. It's really heartbreaking that this is happening in our spaces and it's happening in our communities.
The Liquor Traders Association spent much of, if not all of 2020 and some of 2021 fighting for its life, essentially, fighting for the life of liquor trading in South Africa. And this was, of course, because of the COVID-19 pandemic and all of the lockdowns. With Faith saying, and with you agreeing, that the optics and the PR is not looking too pretty for liquor trading, for taverns, for establishments that are selling liquor in this country. If it comes to those lawmakers and the suggestion, or rather comes from those lawmakers and suggestions come through that perhaps we should really look at the sale of alcohol. I mean, we do know 1 or 2 ministers who've always gone out to say that just ban the thing in totality. Are you up for that fight? That, look, I mean, people are dying, kids are dying. So alcohol is at the root of the problem in this country. Are you willing to fight that, or are you willing to agree that that might just be the case?
I don't think we need to even be having that conversation. It really is not. It's not an appropriate conversation to have, because it doesn't make sense. It's like saying that we probably need to look at banning cars because we have a lot of accidents as a country. I mean, we really need to look at what is it that could be done to ensure that we create safe spaces where people can continue to enjoy alcohol in a safe environment. That's the conversation that we need to be having. But I think the issue of even having a conversation about banning the sale of alcohol, an industry that contributes over 250 billion rand per year to South African economy, is really short-sighted and should be rejected outright.
We'll leave it there. Like Ntimane, we thank you for your time this morning, as of course reflecting there on that shooting incident that took place in the early hours of this morning.